Alrighty guys, so in this video, we're gonna be building upon what we've already done. So we have our niche defined and we have our environment defined, and we should have a pretty clear picture of our customer's problem and how to solve it. And if you already have a product, then great. Now, we need to come up with a claim, a message, a promise to the customer. Now, why is a promise so important? The promise is the business. The promise is the business, guys. You're making a promise to the customer. In exchange for delivering on this promise, the customer will give you money, okay? So we need a clear promise to the customer. Now, the promise is not a technology. The promise, this can be a headline. It can be a claim in a video sales letter. It can be a claim on the product pages. It can be something that the salespeople say. Okay, this promise is so important because this is what the customer is exchanging for their money. Okay, so without a clear promise, we don't have a direction. What are we going to build? How are we going to fulfill on our promise with the mechanism, with a product, with a service, if we don't even know what that promise is? Okay, so we use a transformation or promise. Okay, that we use that language to help us come up with these things. So now that we understand the niche and we understand the environment, we need to make a promise, and the promise has a before state, a desired state, and a time frame. Okay. So before state, an example, 0 to 5 million, 18 months while being profitable without raising money. Okay. 0 to a million without raising money. Okay. We need a promise. So what promise can we make to our customer? A good example was let me just tell you a story from AdvisorStream. So AdvisorStream, when I started working with Kevin, what I did, he had a great product. It was content marketing automation for financial advisors that was compliant. Okay, so that's a big problem. So financial advisors, they need content marketing so they can do their marketing, because they're bound by a lot of these compliance departments. They can't use testimonials. They can't do a lot of traditional marketing. So Kevin had a lot of domain expertise with financial advisors, and he knew that financial advisors depended on third-party content and newsletters to build authority, and that's what attracted some of these high net worth clients. Okay, makes sense, right? So Kevin was marketing, and he hired a marketing firm, and he hired a marketer in-house, and they were trying to lead with the promise of content. They were saying that content is king. That was their headline. Content is king. Better content, better business, something like that, right? And they were marketing, and they weren't getting a lot of resonance. They were getting a little, some of the early adopters were a little bit interested, but they didn't have just a flow of customers. They didn't have a flow of interest, a flow of appointments. So what I did was as soon as I started working with Kevin, I went through this exercise. Now, it wasn't in this form, but I was doing this. I was just basically doing it on paper. And what I did was I audited the case studies. Okay. So I audited the case studies. And for those of you who already have case studies, it's a good idea to start with mapping out your case studies, because this will help you determine the niche. Okay. So I audited Kevin's case studies. He had a few case studies, friends, family, people, advisors who got some fantastic results with his solution, and he documented the results pretty well. Okay, so first thing I did was, I said, Kevin, what the heck are we actually doing here? Like, how are we helping the customer? And Kevin, he explained, content. He explained all the technical stuff that he was doing. I was like, okay, great, but like at the end of the day, what did we do? Okay, what did we do for the customer? And Kevin goes, well, one customer got 7 new clients from using our stuff. I was like, 7 new clients, 7 new high net worth clients. Geez, like that's a tangible result. That is some next level benefit that you're delivering here, Kevin. And so what I did was I took that case study and I was like, okay, so 7 new clients, and I came up with a promise, a transformation that we used. And the promise was 7 new high net worth clients in 12 months, because that's what the case study got. Okay. That's what the promise was. And so what I did was I spent a day and I whipped up a landing page. Okay. I just hand coded a quick landing page. I got the case study. I got the testimonial from Kevin. I got the proof that the client did this. And I started running ads to the page, and I started running outbound prospecting traffic to the page. And immediately we were booking appointments. Immediately we're booking appointments and closing. And then I wrote the closing script and I did all that stuff. But immediately we were able to get appointments. And Kevin was like, holy crap. The board of directors were like, holy crap, Nick, how the hell did you do that? And the engineers and a lot of the marketers in-house, they were like, what the hell? We're not selling this. Like, we're not selling this. Why are you saying this on the internet? I'm like, guys, the mechanism, the way you deliver this result is completely independent of the result. Okay? No one cares how you do it. Whether Kevin got 7 new high net worth clients with content marketing, whether he got it with portfolio management tools, whether he got it with whatever, magic beans, it doesn't matter. Okay. The customer cares about the transformation. And, lo and behold, the customer started resonating with that claim. Makes sense? And we were able to generate leads and appointments, and we were just able to flood the calendar because we were able to come up with the claim. Okay. So that's the promise. It needs to be compelling. It needs to have a before state. It needs to have an after state. It needs to have a time frame. It needs to align to what the customer wants. And obviously, understanding the financial advisors, they want more high net worth clients. That's the whole name of the game of being a financial advisor. Okay. So how are these promises derived? They're typically derived from the case studies. Okay. They're typically derived from the case studies. So when you're mapping out your case studies, you're going to just see the states, right? What happened? State 1, state 2, what was the time frame? And that is the promise that you can make with your clients. Now, what happens if you don't have case studies? Here is where the magic starts to happen, okay, guys? Everyone says, well, I don't have a case study. I don't know. I'm just starting. We don't have case studies yet. We don't have clear, demonstrable proof. How the heck are we going to come up with these claims? Here's the thing. When you understand the niche and you understand the environment, you can make a claim, okay? Like I said, the claim is independent of the mechanism. The claim is independent of the mechanism, which means you can make a claim and get resonance. This is marketing. Right now I'm teaching you guys marketing. You can make a claim and get resonance, and you can even sell with a rendering, with a mock-up, even with a promise. Okay. And you're still going to get appointments. You're still going to get at-bats. And then how you handle this without case studies is once you get the claim firing and it's working and it's resonating and you're getting interest and you're getting sales, then you're like, okay, I figured this out. Now I have to bust my ass to deliver on this promise. Now I have to, I'm going to stop marketing for a minute. And I'm going to start getting my engineering hat on, and I'm going to just make this promise true. Okay. And if you if you do your marketing and then you sell it, you're on the hook, because if you can't deliver, you got to give the money back. Make sense? So you sell it first, you figure out what the claim is, then you figure out what the pitch is. And this is where the offer and stuff comes in to play. And then you bust your ass to make it true. It's like Elon Musk, right? He says, all right, I'm going to go to Mars. Okay. And he sells he says, I'm going to build a spaceship to the moon, and he sells it. Okay. A billionaire comes around. I don't know how much he spent, but he buys the promise. Now, Elon Musk you could probably understand why he's under so much stress. He needs to deliver on his promise. He needs to build a freaking spaceship that goes to the moon. Okay. He makes all these promises, and he needs to bust his ass to make them true. And that's the characteristic of the characteristic of a very good entrepreneur, a very good CEO, they can deliver on their promises. They work their tail off to deliver on their promises. Okay? So guys, it's a kind of a paradigm shift for a lot of people who are not versed in marketing. The product and the technology, those are tools in your tool belt. That's tools in your tool belt that allow you to deliver on your promise. Okay. But without a promise, you're not going to have any customers. There's no point. There's no point. Okay. So another example of this in action, co-pilot advisor, Henry. Okay. So Henry, great entrepreneur, really sharp guy. And not what we were mentioning him in the earlier videos. Henry has this technology that helps financial advisors, and he's a quant, he's a hedge fund guy, and he came up with this portfolio management solution. This basically a tool that financial advisors can use to manage their portfolios and streamline the onboarding process, streamline the trade execution process, etc. Right? Now, we went out to market, and we basically, the claim was like to get higher returns for your clients. That's really what the claim was. But after going and learning about the market, and I already had experience because I had the advisor stream experience, I knew these financial advisors, I knew the market really, really well. And we determined that the most urgent problem for the financial advisor at the time was not the majority of financial advisors. The problem was not the portfolio management stuff. That wasn't really the urgent problem. The urgent problem was it was a similar claim to Advisor Stream. It was generating new clients. These older clients were transitioning their money to their kids. The kids wanted a different type of experience. The advisor was afraid of losing losing the assets under management. So they needed strategies to keep the younger generation. They needed to be able to communicate via the internet, okay, because this younger generation was more comfortable with the internet. So these advisors had some pretty urgent problems. Make sense? So what we did was we came up with a new claim, okay? And the claim was, for Copilot, it was 10 new advisor leads per month, okay? That was the claim. And when I whipped up a landing page again in a day, I just hand coded a landing page, and we were able to get appointments right away. And then on the sales call, this is the craziest thing. On the sales call, we introduced the product, the portfolio management product. Okay? So the advisor was like, yeah, I want 10 new leads. Yeah. And there was a feature of the portfolio management product that delivered on this. It was a risk analysis thing. So this risk analysis quiz allowed the advisor to generate leads, okay? But it also allowed them to get higher returns for their clients. So what's my point? If we led with higher returns for the clients, we wouldn't have got the advisor in the door in the first place. And then once we have them in the door, they're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I like the risk analysis tool, but hold on a second. What's this portfolio management thing? And then we started to indoctrinate them on that portfolio management thing, and we got sales for the portfolio management thing. Make sense? So it was not about, again, the marketing is independent. The marketing is independent of the solution. Okay? So the point is, we need to come up with a compelling claim. Okay? And there's mechanics around this. Eugene Schwartz from the book Breakthrough Advertising goes through the mechanics of the claim. Essentially, if you're in a brand new market, you lead with a new claim. If you're second to market, so if you're number one, if you're first one to come up with a claim, then you have like a window of a year to 2 years. If you're the second one, you expand the claim and you drive the claim to its limits. Okay? Which means if I were to drive this claim to its limits, instead of 10, I would say 20. Instead of 20, I'd say 30 if I was really going to drive the claim to the limits. Once the market has already heard the claim and they've already heard all of its permutations and its limits, then we focus on a new mechanism. Okay? So the mechanism here was with risk quiz, right? That's a new mechanism. Okay? Now, let's say a year later, the market has already heard this. Let's say we've already went through the evolution. 30 new investor leads with risk quiz mechanism. And now we're going to be pushing the next stage of the evolution of the claim is we're going to be pushing the mechanism to the limits, okay, with risk quiz. So it's faster, it's better, it's cheaper, okay? The mechanism itself is being pushed to the limits, okay? And then once we push all of that to the limits, then we identify with the prospect, and it's essentially it's like branding. Okay, so when there's products that are like commoditized and you can't go lower, right? Example, t-shirts, right? T-shirts, the first t-shirt was probably a hit, okay? Then there's all these permutations of the t-shirt, and now it's like a t-shirt's like $15, but the way that they differentiate themselves, the t-shirt brands, is by identification, branding, right? It's identifying with the prospect. If you look like this and you behave like this, then this is the brand for you. If you do this activity, then this is the brand for you. So the last stage of sophistication, Eugene Schwartz calls these stages of sophistication. The last is identification. So those are essentially how claims are made. So first order of business, we need to come up with a compelling claim, and you can look at your competitor's claim. And I've been doing this for so long, guys. In the technology world, not many people know how to write claims. Okay? So if you're looking at your competitors, their claim is probably wrong. Okay? And if you see your competitor and their claim is pretty good and you think it's decent, can you make it better? Okay? Can you expand it? Okay? Can you take the claim to its limits? Or if you see a claim that's already working, can you swap in a new mechanism? Okay? So I know 30 new advisor leads per month, okay? So if I'm coming in with a new technology for financial advisors, well, I'm probably just going to switch out the mechanism, okay? And we did this, LinkedIn marketing, okay? Drive that claim to its limits for a few years. All of a sudden, the mechanism gets commoditized, okay? Now, we come up with a new mechanism. Maybe the next one is going to be, AdvisorStream had content marketing, right? Content marketing, premium content. That's a mechanism. We'll just make it clear. Using content. Using content. Okay? Using. Now, let's say the claim is driven to its limits, right? Using premium content. There we go. That's an iteration of the mechanism, okay? I'm driving that mechanism to its limits. It's better, it's faster, it's cheaper, okay? But the claim didn't change. The claim was fixed, okay? Now let's say I'm a brand new person in the market, and I want to service these financial advisors. I know the claim's working, so I'm going to come up with a new mechanism. Let's say I'll use custom websites. New mechanism. There we go. Brand new business, brand new open green field. You get it? Here's another one. Using funnels and VSLs. That's a new one, right? So there's always a path. There's always a path, guys. This is what a lot of our customers, they struggle with. They're like, oh, I'm not getting resonance. Like, guys, it has nothing to do with your product at this point. It has nothing, a lot of people start with the product and then they try to market it and it just flops. It has nothing to do with the product. The product is pulled. The product is pulled from the market. Okay? And we kind of just flipped it on its head. Product is pulled. Okay? Now, the difference between a scammer and an entrepreneur is the ability of delivering on the promise. So a scammer, you might see this. You see these marketers, they're very good at marketers. They're sleazy. This is where the sleazy salesperson kind of comes from. The salesperson will make promises, but they can't deliver. Okay? And that results in scamming. Okay? So you don't want to be a scammer. You want to be able to make promises and deliver. That's how you get super successful. So you got to be able to make promises and deliver. Okay? So the typical engineer is able to build, but they don't know what to build because they never learned how to make promises. Make sense? Okay, guys? So if you don't have a product or you don't have case studies yet, we need to swim around for the promise. Okay? What is the promise? And the promise is going to be very clear because you know who the customer is and you know the environments and you know what mechanisms exist. So it's very easy. You just got to try a few promises and then you whip up a landing page, a little video sales letter, and boom, you're going to get resonance. It's not that hard here, guys. Okay? Makes sense? So if you don't have case studies, then come up with a promise and we're going to be testing. We're going to be seeing what the resonance is in the market. Okay? Make sense? Okay. So guys, come up with your promise and we'll see you in the next video.